There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned into the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. It's Wednesday. I'm your host, Dave Schrader, and along with me, the lovely and talented Mr. Tim Dennis.
Howdy.
How you doing, Tim?
Very well.
We got an interesting show lined up today. I say that all the time, Tim. Sometimes I lie, sometimes I don't. I'm going to leave it up to the jury to figure this one out. Okay. No, I'm really excited. Going to talk to a friend of ours here. I've known her for a number of years and have met her at a couple of different conferences. And she is one of the hosts and investigators from the Oddity Files. And she is also a celeb photo op gal, Tim.
Really?
Yeah. She and her husband have been doing this business, I think, going on around 8 years.
Wow.
I think they did around 27 conferences. So when you go and you pay to get a photo op with a celebrity, they are the people that are doing it. They're one of the groups out there that does this, but they do a fantastic job. And I love watching her pictures on Facebook because she gets to do all these cute, goofy prom pictures with all the celebrities.
Oh yeah.
And, they're always fun, but it's great. I want to talk to her, especially because being a photographer and a lot of what we call evidence is photographic, video in nature, photographic. And there are a lot of mistakes made. I get pictures sent to me on a regular basis that it's just, ugh. And I'm curious to hear from a photographic standpoint about her research and how quickly she can debunk things, and does the knowledge of photography really help in a true investigation like this?
Oh, yeah.
So we'll be discussing that and more. We got a great week lined up. Tomorrow, Dr. Barry Taff is back with us, Tim. It's been a number of years. The aristocratic poltergeist case. It's a case he doesn't talk about often. He's written a beautiful blog about it, this kind of dissertation kind of going into it. And I said, Barry, we should talk about this case. This is one that's really different, and it's a bizarre case. And he said, sure, Dave, whatever you want to do. So it's great to have him back. And I'm always excited when we get to a chance to talk to Barry, because I've said this. When I was driving home, lived over in North Minneapolis, I had my radio going, listening to Coast AM. And I remember Art Bell interviewing Dr. Barry Taff about the entity case and the San Pedro haunting. And I was so riveted. I didn't own a radio in my house. I sat in my car for 3 hours to listen to this interview.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was so unnerved, I didn't even want to go in the house. I was like, screw this. It's safer in my car. There's no poltergeist car stories.
No,
well,
never.
None that I know of. We'll have to talk to Dr. Taff about that. But then I had a chance to interview him on Coast to Coast a few years ago. So it was really kind of a neat little moment. And that's what I thought. When we started our show, I don't know if you remember, I said one of the people I want to get on the show is Dr. Barry Taff. And he's been a great friend to our show and to our live events. He's been out to, I think, 3 or 4 of our live events over the years. And he's been going through some medical issues.
Yeah.
It's great to have him still be a part of this. He's a true parapsychologist and worked through UCLA and their parapsychological department. And really, this is a guy that has knowledge that we can't afford to lose.
Right.
So I'm excited that he's back up and running and is going to join us tomorrow on the show to talk about this case that he has not really gone too deeply into before.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on. And I can't forget, I'm mentioning this a lot because I'm pretty excited. I'm hosting Coast to Coast AM this Saturday. And Bobby Hart, the musician, singer-songwriter behind many cool 60s and 70s songs, including a lot of the stuff that he did for the Monkees, will be with me in the first hour talking about his life. His book is called Psychedelic Bubblegum. And fascinating guy, fascinating life. And he's been a very private man. So this is kind of his coming out, talking about his life behind the scenes and what it was like to be in this heyday of rock music. And then in the last 3 hours of the show, a good friend of mine, Henry Diltz, is a photographer. He's a rock legend. And he's another one of those guys I met early in my life.
Yeah.
I think I was 16 or 17 when I met Henry. And we hit it off. I used to call him Uncle Henry. I still do when I email him or contact him. And it's just one of those kind of guys. It's like he's so non-assuming and such a nice guy. And he's so cool to talk to. But he knows everyone. I mean, he was the official photographer for Woodstock. He was Monterey Pop, I believe. He did the first McCartney solo album. He did the Monkees. He did Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Morrison Hotel album cover is his.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen he's worked with. Every major musician at some point he is graced with beautiful photography.
Yeah.
And has some great stories from behind the scenes. So we're going to talk with him for the remainder of the show on Coast to Coast AM. So something a little out of the paranormal realm, but just I think equally as fascinating when you can talk about somebody who's been there from the 60s to today, still actively working, and is one of the most sought after. Garth Brooks loves the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of major celebrities just absolutely love this guy. And we'll talk with Henry Diltz. Then, this is pretty cool. I threw out this net of invitations to Coast, thinking, well, if I could get one of these guys, it'll be cool.
Yeah.
I threw an invite out to Bobby Hart. I threw an invite out to Henry Diltz. I threw an invite out to Mike Nesmith from the Monkees.
Yeah.
All three responded. All three said yes. So on September 15th, just days after the 51st anniversary of the Monkees' first appearance on TV, Mike Nesmith will be stopping in. We'll be talking Infinite Tuesdays, his book, his biography, talking about his life as a musician and an actor and what he's done since the Monkees, which is, it was fun when I reached out to the publicist. I go, they were kind of on the fence. I go, listen, I'm not just a Monkees nerd. I wore out 2 Elephant Parts VHS tapes. I had Dr. Duck's Super Secret All-Purpose Sauce VHS. I had all the episodes videotaped from Television Parts, his TV series. I had all of his albums on vinyl when they came out. Lady starts laughing. She goes, oh, Nez'll like that. And he signed on right away. So it was very cool. Yeah. So we're going to do something different. And I'm going to try to shake it up when I'm on Coast to Coast. So I'm not always just doing creepy stuff and true crime. And we'll have some fun and a great opportunity to talk to some of my heroes in the world of music and entertainment as well.
Some living history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get to tonight's show, which is very cool. Kitsie is joining us now from the Oddity Files. And it's a pleasure to have you. It's been too long. We should have had you on. I mean, you've been doing investigations for 8 years. We should have talked a lot sooner.
Oh, I'm just so honored to be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, I want to talk, since we're kind of on the celebrity angle, as I was just talking about my appearances on Coast to Coast AM and who I'm going to be dealing with. What got you into doing the celebrity photo ops business?
It's a funny story. Everybody always asks how we got into this, how they can do it, this, that, and the other. We started out as independent horror filmmakers back in the day, and it was just a hobby. And so we were helping out a friend at the Horror Hound convention here in Indianapolis, helping them shuttle managers and celebrities back and forth from the airport to the hotel. We got talking to one of the managers, and my husband had had some photography experience in the past. They talked a little bit about that, and then that was pretty much the end of it. And then when the next show came around, I think it was Cincinnati for Horror Hound, they gave Chris a call and said, hey, I understand you have photography experience. Our photo op guy backed out. Are you ready? And he's like, well, I got nothing else going on.
Sure.
So we gave it a shot. Our very first photo op was with the Boondock Saints.
Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Norman Reedus.
It was very, very cool.
Sean Patrick Flannery and Norman Reedus. That's awesome. So young Indiana Jones and Daryl Dixon before that.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
And then we also shot Sid Haig in costume as Captain Spaulding.
Oh, sure.
And it was a fun weekend. We realized, there's money in this as opposed to independent horror filmmaking. So they asked us if we wanted to do another show, and we did. We worked exclusively with that management team for about a year, and then branched out to shows like Wizard World. Now we're working with Walker Stalker and Heroes and Villains Fan Fest, Pandemic Tour, still working with Horror Hound. Next weekend we've got Flashback Weekend in Chicago. Actually, Sean Flannery's going to be there, so it all comes full circle.
Oh, very cool. I'm curious with that. You guys do a lot of photography. you have hundreds, sometimes thousands of people come through to take a photograph with a celebrity. Do you ever get weird paranormal anomalies in any of the photographs?
No, we don't.
Nothing.
At least none that I've ever noticed, believe it or not. You would think, maybe somebody has an attachment, they bring it in with them.
Right.
The craziest thing we've ever gotten is dust on the lens, though.
What? Paranormal dust, Kitsie?
No.
No.
Like legit dust.
Well, it could be the ghost of dust. You don't know. Don't dismiss it so quickly.
This is true.
Are the celebrities all pretty cool to work with when you do this kind of work, or are some of them just phoning it in and standing there ready for a photograph, and that's all they want to do is get it done as quick as possible?
Most of the celebrity guests we work with are fantastic. They're so grateful for all their fans. You have one or two that you can tell that they're there for the paycheck, but it's really, really rare, and I can't name any names.
No, I certainly wouldn't want you to unless you definitely wanted to. Then I'm cool with that. Nobody else is listening. No, I was curious about it because I see, like I said, so many of the major celebrities doing these photographs, and not just with you, but many of the paid guests, and they look to be having just as much fun as the people that paid to get the photograph with them.
Oh, they really are. They really enjoy it, and I think photo ops they have a little more fun with just because they're not behind a table. It is a really quick process. I'll get that out there. It's not like a meet and greet or anything, but it's a really fun, 10 seconds you get to spend with the celebrity.
Right.
And then you have this moment captured in time forever.
Do many of the celebrities, a lot of them seem to pose in funny ways with the guests. Do you ever hear any of the celebrities go, no, I won't be doing that?
I have. There's a couple celebrity guests that often get asked to pose silly or hold silly things, and they're not about that at all. It's like, you hold that.
Gotcha.
But, some of those guys have been doing it for so long.
No, I understand. And it's fun. I got Shatner's autograph. I happened to be in business in Vegas, 12, 14 years ago, and there was the Star Trek convention in town. And I stumbled in through the back door and made my way in, and I found the lineup for the Get Your Photograph with William Shatner. And that was... Oh,
nice.
Yeah, I think it was only $40 at the time. And we know that's gone up considerably. What is he, a couple $100 now to get a picture with Shatner?
I can't even keep the numbers straight anymore, to be perfectly honest with you.
But I was like, how are they going to do this? There had to be 2,000 people in line. And it's like, he's going to be doing photographs from 1 o'clock to 3. And I'm like, there's no way. And I've never seen something that machine work before. But it was funny because you get in there and you see all the pictures 2 hours later printed out on the table. And it's like it's a dummy of William Shatner leaning there, and you just sit next to it. There was no talking. There was no engaging. You walked in, sat down, smiled. They took a picture. You got up and left. Before you're out the door, the next person's already sitting in your seat and moving the machine through. So it is pretty amazing how many people you guys can buzz through there.
But now you don't have to wait. Well, at least with us, you don't have to wait 2 hours for your prints. You walk out the door and you get them in 45 to 60 seconds. So then you can take them over to the celebrity and have them sign them and then have a conversation with them about the photo or whatever it is they talk to the celebrities about.
That's very cool. That's got to be kind of a nice, rewarding business to do. You get to see so many people, major celebrities that are awesome, and then you get to see so many people just happy to meet them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And honestly, some of the most amazing people I've met doing this have been the fans. It really, granted, you've got your grouchy people. That's any business. But some of these, especially these Walking Dead fans, they are diehard, amazing fans.
Yeah, does anybody ever come in and start stirring up trouble with the celebrity? Start getting on them about something they did in an episode like it's a real thing?
Not usually in my photo op room. They're also terrified of me.
Okay.
They don't cause trouble.
Because I've heard people talk to celebrities, and they're like, when you hit Michonne, I can't even believe you're that kind of man, and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you realize I'm an actor, and that was a scene, and I didn't really hit that actress. It's just always funny to me to watch people react.
I think we were at another horror hound, actually, and John Bernthal was there. And somebody walks by, and they go, Shane! He looks at him and goes, my name's John. And then he dropped the F-bomb. But it was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. I mean, we'll get people coming up, like in the mornings before I start shooting photos, I'll answer questions and things like that of the fans. And they're like, well, can you tell me how much a photo op is for Daryl Dixon? And I'll look at them and go, honey, we don't have a Daryl Dixon here. I can't sell you that photo op. And then they go, oh, yeah, Norman Reedus. But, I mean, some of the people just can't discern between the character and the celebrity.
That's kind of creepy.
And it's really creepy.
Very cool, though. Well, so you've been doing this for about as long as you've been paranormal investigating. What got you in the door for investigating? Why did you start going out and seeking information about the paranormal?
Okay, so long story short, I've always been really creeped out by the paranormal since I was a little kid. Poltergeist, the movie, sealed it for me. Terrified. So I just didn't pay attention to it. The running joke in my house growing up was if something was missing, the ghost hid it. It would show up 2 days later. Ha ha, Mom, you're hilarious. I grew up in a house that was owned previously by a funeral home, people who owned a funeral home. So there probably was a ghost or two there. Flash forward to about, God, how long has it been? About 15 years ago, my dad passed away. And I'm not going to make this sad or anything, but I wanted to know more. I wanted to know my daddy was okay. So I started, like everybody else, watching the TV shows. I might have seen you on 1 or 2 episodes. And I was enthralled. I'm like, well, this is like scientific, and these ghosts aren't killing anybody, so it can't be that bad. So I just got completely intrigued, went to a group ghost hunt at an old haunted theater here in Columbus, Indiana. Didn't really see anything, but met some cool people. And then I went out with those cool people in their group. It was WPRS out of Lafayette, Indiana, and they took me to Black Moon Manor here in Indiana. And wow, it's nuts. These EVPs, and somebody actually got scratched on my first legit investigation. I was pretty much sucked in from the beginning.
But if you're already kind of afraid and freaked out by the paranormal, and you go in on your first investigation and somebody gets scratched, why did that not push you out of it? I would think that would have been the thing to make you, nope, this isn't for me.
I don't know. I personally never felt like I was in harm's way. So maybe I'm selfish. Maybe it's all about me. I don't know.
No, I feel the same way. I've never been attacked. I've seen some creepy things.
Nor have I.
So I watch people get scratched and attacked or claim to, at least when this person that you're with gets scratched. What was your thoughts? Did you think that's baloney? This isn't, no.
I wasn't in the room with them when it happened, so I didn't believe it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And was the scratch in a place was a scratch in a place that you just, it made no sense that it should have been there to begin with? It
was on the front of their chest, like in between their neck and pecs area. Okay. So I don't know. And now I want to know, okay, so many people claim this. I've still not seen it. Why is it happening? Is it even happening?
Right.
I just want all the answers. I'm not going to lie. And so many people are intrigued by this. And then when we were still filmmakers, taking it full circle, we were doing a tour of an abandoned hospital, again, here in Indiana, and just walking around with a DSLR camera, shooting footage of the rooms and things like that. We got it home, and there was an EVP. And I'm like, what? I'm like, honey, you really need to come listen to this. I can't even remember what she said, but it was a female voice in an old abandoned hospital. And I'm like, this stuff might be real. So, and it was in the morgue, of course, cliche and all, but I just wanted to know more. I've always been that kid. Why? So
what's that like?
I want answers.
Yeah. What's that like for you then when you do this, you're kind of intrigued, you put yourself into the position, and then all of a sudden you realize, wow, there is something to this. And it's no longer just a flight of fancy, but you're realizing that there's a reality to this phenomena taking place.
Oh, there totally is. And it's completely overwhelming, honestly. And I've learned through this journey that that I'm an empath. I didn't even know they existed, but I was on probably my third investigation, walking through a hallway of an old schoolhouse, and I felt like all of a sudden I was just going to pass out. I went down to the floor. My heart started racing. The lady who was giving me the tour said, "You just walked through a portal. Are you an empath?" And I'm like, what the hell's an empath? So I did research and met some people, and I literally, my whole life has been blocking this out because it scared me so much. Does that sound crazy? I call my empathness my crazy. It's my crazy. I am absolutely certifiably insane, I'm sure. And I don't know, because I can't explain it.
No, I get that. And I think there's a lot of people that do. But my problem with the empathic aspect, especially when in investigating, is how do you separate preconceived ideas before going into a location and real empathic connection? It's not like you're blindfolded and they took you to a place you have no idea what the history is. You go into a hospital and you start to feel like breathing's hard, or, you're feeling pain in your side. How do you know that you're really feeling that empathically as opposed to what you think you would feel from the patients that were in that hospital? Do you know what I mean?
No, I know absolutely what you mean. And it's this constant battle in my head. Again, is it my crazy, or is this really something that's real? Now, like the last 3 or 4 places we've investigated, there's not been a whole lot of history on them. We didn't do a lot of whole research when we went in. And I'm in there and I'm feeling pull Revenant Acres. I just felt this male presence that hated me. I didn't know why. I didn't know anything about it. 3 hours later, we're having a spirit box session, and he's calling me every name in the book, calling my son an asshole, telling me to F off. I was like, oh, okay, so that was legit.
That's bizarre,
and that's pretty much what No, it was insane.
Right. And
the whole time, I didn't feel threatened. I just wanted to put him in his place. Does that make any sense?
Sure. Right. The
I don't know.
mama bear in you comes out, right?
Different than some people, I think. I don't want to stir things up unless they're trying to stir me up, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Well, prior to, doing the Oddity Files and going in full bore into investigating, do you have now as an adult, do you look back at any points in your life and think, holy crap, that might have been a paranormal experience I went through?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially growing up in that house I was telling you about. When we moved into it, I was probably 9 or 10, and the kids in the neighborhood said, why did you move into the haunted house? So, but again, I somehow was able to block it all out. Yeah, I was sleeping in bed with the covers over my head, terrified of what? I had no idea.
Sure.
But I was a nervous kid.
Understandable. In being in this haunted house, do you have any idea why it was perceived to be haunted?
I don't know. Every kid has that house in their neighborhood. You've got the haunted house, the witch lives here. Apparently the witch lives kitty corner across the street from us. She terrified me. I don't know why. I think it was just all the stories. Now, one time a paper boy who I became friends with had told me a story. Of course, it was in my bedroom, but one time he was walking by the house when it was empty before my mom and dad had purchased it, and he saw a candle burning in my bedroom and a face behind it. So I didn't see it. I don't know.
Well, at least you didn't, right? How could you live on with that, knowing that kind of stuff's going on when you were a kid growing up? Did it get into your head, though? Were you afraid growing up, knowing that everybody thought of your house as the haunted house?
No, I just thought they were giving me a hard time. But I think they might have been onto something. And maybe that's what helped me finally be okay with all this. I don't know. All
right, very cool. Well,
I'm a basket case.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're an amusing basket case. Talk to me about doing the Oddity Files. How long has this been available and out there?
Gosh, it's probably been out there for about 5 years. And it's something that just kind of started out as a hobby. Celeb Photo Ops just has us working on the weekends. And when we started, it was just a few weekends a year. It's gotten a little crazier over the years, but it was something that I could work on while we were home, something that really, really interested me. And I'm like, well, we have all this equipment. I could be like those guys on TV And don't watch any of the old ones. My editing is terrible, but they have gotten better over the last year.
And what made you decide, okay, you've seen all the shows, you see what's going on, hey, I can do what these guys are doing. What really drove you, though? Was it to try to get answers? Was it just to try to have an experience? Talk me through that mindset for yourself.
Exactly. I wanted to know for sure that these TV shows weren't for entertainment purposes only. I'd seen some things. I was the biggest Ghost Adventure fan for so long, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks like the most crazy, intense adrenaline rush ever. So I wanted to do it for myself, and oh my gosh, it sure is. You know, some places you go to, it's calm and it's quiet, and the spirits are children, and they're wonderful to you. And then I walk into Revenant Acres, and I've got some spirit over the spirit box calling me every name in the book. But it's fun, and I want to know why all these places are so different. And, you know, I kind of thought back in the day that a ghost was a ghost, you know, boo, with a sheet over their head, hiding in the corner just to scare you. There's personalities to these things. I mean, if you were a jerk in real life, you're going to be a jerk in death. If you had an angelic personality in life, you're going to have an angelic personality in death. I honestly, and people are going to hate me for this, I don't believe in demons. I believe if you were an asshole in life, you're going to be an asshole in death. And I think most people mistake those spirits for demons.
Right. I do too. I think a lot of times too, it might be the frustration, right? If you're trying so hard to communicate and you're in this kind of void between life and death, and you want the attention, you know, does a hair tug constitute demonic activity, or is it just that's all you have the ability to do? Push something off a shelf, you know, scratch on the wall, bang, do something to get the attention of the, you know, the fleshies. That's why I think a lot of people need to be very cautious before they just jump to the demon conclusion all the time when it comes to these paranormal investigations. And, you know, you brought up a point. So in life, so in death. But I also think that if you've been around a long enough time, you might have been the sweetest human being on earth. But, you know, 20, 30, 50, 100, 200 years of kind of sticking in this nether realm may change and shape your personality as it would if you were living. So you might be a lot crabbier or goofier. And, you know, I've said often, my buddy Jeff Belanger and I, when we die, I'll be the guy pushing the planchette on your Ouija board saying you're going to die tonight. Not because I'm evil, but just because I'm a jerk. And I think it'd be funny to watch their reaction.
Oh, I love you. And some of these places are investigated every weekend. Maybe these spirits are sick of it, so they scream demon over the spirit box, and they don't want people to come back and bother them anymore.
Right.
Who knows? These are the answers I want.
Maybe they think we're the demons, and they're calling us out.
Oh, you might be onto something, sir.
Or I'm on something, that's for sure.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Well, when you decide to start going out and investigating to do these locations, what is it that you bring to these locations? What about you and your personality and your team do you guys feel really kind of make this an immersive investigation?
We've tried things several different ways. We used to bring, you know, a good 10 to 12 people along on investigations, and things just seem to kind of die down a little bit. We've kind of, the last few investigations, had a much smaller crew. It's been my son, a family friend, Clayton, who actually works at Celeb Photo Ops with us as well, who's pretty much like my son. And it's like I don't know. It's like we have a crystal ball to the other side of this. Trimming our crew down on these last couple investigations has helped. I'm an empathetic skeptic, I guess you could call it. I need the proof. I need to see it happen for me to believe it. Clayton, he's just the skeptic, but his mind is blown quite often. And then my son Carter, he's a newbie to all this, and he just sits back and goes, whoa. So, and I think it's that combination of the three of us right now and my freaking wonder box and my spirit box. They just like to talk to me. And we're telling the stories that these spirits want told. I don't know how else to explain it. I think when we talk to these spirits, we talk to them like they're human, I guess. I talk to them like I'm in the room with them and can see them. Sometimes I look in the direction where I think they are. It looks ridiculous on the episodes, but I'll turn to my side and talk to them. And I don't know if that gives them a level of comfort or if I'm crazy. But I think if you treat them with respect, when they treat you with respect, I think it helps. I think believing a little bit helps. I think if you're like, there's no way no, ghosts don't exist at all, I don't think they're going to come out and play with you.
Well, let's talk more about the Oddity Files, some of your favorite investigations and most fascinating phenomena that you've captured. We'll do that when we return.
Beyond the darkness.
Hello, welcome back. This is the best in paranormal talk radio. I'm Dave Schrader, and that guy, well, that's Tim Dennis.
Hiya.
Tim.
Yeah.
Between her infectious giggles and snorts and her chilling tales of paranormal,
right,
Kitsie Duncun is back with us now.
Oh, good.
To share more of her insights. Kitsie, let's hear about some of your favorite locations you've had a chance to go out and investigate so far with the Oddity Files.
My favorite locations are jails and prisons.
Mm-hmm.
I get the most, I'm pretty sought after in a prison. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I can understand that.
Big boobs, and they really like me there. But my most terrifying experience was probably about 6 years ago at the Crown Point, the old Crown Point jail. And I've never felt so singled out by K2 action before in my life. The spirit trying to get me to go out in the hallway by myself. And I'm a grown-ass woman. I know that nothing can happen to me if I go out there. But I was literally shaking. I wouldn't do it. It was terrifying. I don't know why. We went back, still just as terrified. I mean, jails and prisons just have such a intense energy in them in general.
Right.
And then you get the spirits of these people that, are some of society's worst of the worst. And but I love it. It's terrifying, but I love it. And I want that at every investigation. It doesn't always happen, but I love it.
When you're trying to decide a location that you want to focus on, do you use it just by what's available? Like when you're out doing your photography business, hey, we're in town, this place is nearby, let's set something up there? Or do you specifically seek out locations?
A little bit of both. Just here recently, we've been trying to book a location in Colorado Springs, Colorado. So if anybody knows anywhere out there that would like us to come and investigate there, but we've got a Comic-Con out there, so we thought, well, it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Our travel's paid for by the company, so let's try and investigate while we're out there. And then before Walker's Talker Boston, I'm heading out with my good friend Tiffany Rice, and we're going to investigate in Rhode Island out there. Around here, I kind of see what the other local investigators are doing in like the Ohio Valley here, which includes, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky. And I kind of see where the activity's strong, and I try to get in places there as well. So it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it seems to work.
All right. Now, the most active location you think you've ever been in to date for the Oddity Files, which would that be?
That is a really tough one. Activity is different. I'm going to go with Revenant Acres and that spirit box session.
All right. Well, talk to us about Revenant. Yeah. Talk to us about Revenant Acres. What is Revenant Acres and where is it located? What's the history?
It's just an old farmhouse that's here in Indiana. I think it's Charlottesville, Indiana. And a local paranormal enthusiast rents it out so he can let paranormal peeps like us investigate at a really reasonable rate just for the love of the world of paranormal. They don't know any of the history of the place. The only thing they know is that it was built in a separate location that it's in now, about 50 yards from where it is now, because they put a highway in there. But that's the place where I walked in and I felt this male entity that hated me. I didn't know why. I still really don't know why, other than he was just a jerk. And on that location, we actually had our medium with us, Molly O'Connelly, and her, on her way out there, she started shaking and couldn't control her body. This is just on the way to the location. She ended up having to pull over because she had this vomit. She was just, something there was telling her how terrible it was. And even before it got dark, we were seeing shadows on the stairs, creepy feelings in this corner, creepy feelings in that corner. Nothing really on any of the equipment, like the K2 meters or anything like that. No EVPs were captured there until we turned on the spirit box. I swear these spirits love my spirit box. I have full-on conversations with people. And it's the same voice coming over and over and over and over again. So it's not radio. I wish I could explain it. Anyhow.
And how defined are the responses you're getting? I mean, are you ever worried that maybe you're kind of hearing something that may not be there?
Oh, I am worried about that a lot.
Okay.
So if I go to the crew, I'm like, do you hear this? Do you hear this? And, unless I'm like, well, guys, this is seriously what I was feeling at the time, and this is what I hear. And if they're like, well, I just don't hear it, I said, well, I'll just throw it up there, tell them to tweet us if they think it's something different. Because just because it's what I hear doesn't mean it's what everybody hears.
Right.
I mean, we all know that from watching the shows on TV. I'll close my eyes and listen to, EVP or things like that, and then they'll show on the screen what they think it says. I'm like, well, that wasn't even close.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a guessing game sometimes. But, excuse me, lately I can't even explain it. The other day I completely got off track here, but you have to hear this. So the other day I had my Wonder Box going in the house because I like to do a session before and after investigations. We've got one coming up this week at a residence. So I wanted to figure out if I could get names or anything like that before we head out there, which does happen often. And before I even started asking questions, the spirit box says, we have a warning. And I was like, what? And it's like, people have forgotten. No, I'm serious. One week, people have forgotten. I will send you the audio on this.
Please.
And I'm like, okay. And I go, well, what have people forgotten? And he goes, heaven. And I was like, what?
That's
so
amazing.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, I am hearing about it.
Oh, so, I'm not, your average churchgoer or anything like that, but I'm definitely going to send that to you. Anyway, ended up getting the name of the guy for our next location, but I don't know if it's...
How do you respond to that then when they're communicating to you like that and they're like, people have forgotten heaven? Where's the end of that conversation go for you? Do you keep trying to talk with them, or you politely excuse yourself and be like, well, no, look at the time? Yeah.
Yeah, it was more like a mind blown moment.
Right.
And I just went on to the reason I was there. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to tuck this away and let it process, and then I'll come back to it later. So
do you ever do that and then regret that you didn't push a little harder or try to get answers?
Yes, all the time. All the time. It's always coulda, shoulda, woulda. I'm like editing the episode. I'm like, well, why didn't I do this at the time? But I think that's just human nature.
That's true, right? You always
I'm
have that armchair quarterback where you want to revisit a couple days later.
Exactly. Hence why, half of the country's on Xanax. So.
Don't hold back. Tell me how you really feel about it.
Oh, have we just met? I'm sorry.
Exactly. Now, have you had, again, knowing and understanding cameras and the anomalies, how quickly are you able to debunk something when you capture something on video or photograph? And have you ever made the mistake where you see something, then it takes somebody else to show it to you to go, no, honey, that's a reflection off of this light post or something?
110%. Yes, I debunk most of it, to be perfectly honest. You just get some orbs that, I'm like, it's got to be dust, but I'm going to throw it in the episode and let the viewers kind of make their own decision. Or, you've got a pulsating light that's floating over my head and revenant anchors right before I get cussed out by the spirit box. Is it dust? I don't know. It looks like it's producing its own light? I don't know. I don't know what it is. And I'm never going to claim I do. That's why the word anomaly is so perfect, because it means we don't know what this is.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, an orb is dust. But we got some new GoPro IR cameras, and we were at a local museum here in Bloomington, Indiana, and I saw the weirdest little shadow that looked like a cat had jumped up from under the bed, kissed me on the cheek, and then went back under the bed.
Well, that's sweet, at least.
I thought I had the most awesome find of the universe, a ghost cat kissing me on the cheek. I'm going to be rich and famous and have my own TV show. And then I kept looking at it, the same camera angle, sent it to everybody. Oh my God, guys, what do you think this could be? Blah, 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 blah. I finally go on to look at another camera angle, and that's why we do 75 camera angles. It was Clayton's foot.
Oh.
Because of the shadow of the light from the camera to the side, it looked like a ghost cat jumping up and giving me a kiss. So yeah, I debunked my own.
Nice.
Exceptional finds.
Yeah, that's good. Well, at least you're smart enough to do that and realize that this isn't how you need to do it, and you need to re-examine some of these bits, because it's funny to me how many people will stand by some of the crappiest evidence I've ever seen and refuse to yield, even though you can legitimately show them this is not the way this isn't how it goes, and they don't care.
No, they don't, and God love them. It makes them happy, so that's one less person who needs Xanax.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
Terrible.
Let's. So you're talking to me about some of your favorite spots and some of the most unbelievable things. How about seeing is believing? Have you seen a ghost in any of these locations?
I have. Of course, it wasn't gotten on video, so my husband said it never happened.
Right.
I was like, video or it didn't happen. We were actually out shooting a convention in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Was lucky enough to get into the fairy plantation there. It was my husband, myself, and a friend of ours. Beautiful location. They used to, kill the witches right outside in the water out there. History galore. And we're ending up the evening doing a dowsing rod session. Just finished up. I walked around the corner, and I saw a little girl peek her head around and then come back up and leave around the corner. And I'm like, guys, did you just see that? And they're like, no, what are you talking about? So I took off and I looked. It was a dead end. She couldn't have gone anywhere else. And she was like black and white. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. I've lost my mind. They're going to lock me up. But come to find out after some research, this is the spirit everybody sees at that location. That is the fairy plantation girl. Same curly hair, same bow in the hair, same dress, same shoes, same absolutely everything. I just wish I'd gotten it on video. But I think it was that investigation. It's probably our third that just told me that, there's seriously something out there.
Well, that's pretty cool.
I've not seen anything quite that spectacular since, but
Well, that's a hell of a start. That's nothing to poo-poo. I mean, when you get a chance to see something that dramatic, even if it's not on video, and I know you're a photograph person. I'm always fascinated because when I see something like that, I want to soak that moment in. And I'm not always worried that I didn't capture it on video or audio, because it's, to me, the human experience is sometimes a lot more exciting than anything I could have caught on video.
Oh, I get that. I totally, but the day and age of the internet, everybody wants to see it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what pushes me to get it. I still have it. I'm still trying, but someday we'll go back to Fairy Plantation and I will get that little girl on film.
What do you make of shadow people? Is that something that you've witnessed firsthand?
Not really. I've been at locations where you see it out of the corner of your eye. I've never seen anything pass in front of me. I do believe in them. I think that spirits can only manifest themselves the way they know how. So certain spirits can only manifest themselves that way, as opposed to a black and white girl with curly hair. I want to see one. We were at Randolph Asylum, and it was pitch black, but in front of my eyes, you could kind of see down this very long hallway, and all of a sudden my vision was knocked out for a second, and then I saw the hallway again. So I was wondering if maybe that was a shadow figure straight up right in front of my eyes. So we'll count that as a maybe.
As a maybe. Yes, Tim, you had a question?
Yeah. Kitsie, I have a photographic question for you. I've had a few friends that have come up to me with a still photograph, and generally it's coming out of a wall. And it's a light anomaly that looks like a comet, but it'll have like a reddish aura around it, and it looks like it's got a tail coming out of it. And it's more of an orb-like shape, but it's for all intents and purposes, it looks like a light anomaly, and most photographers would say, well, it looks like it's a lens flare or something to that effect, but it's not. Have you ever captured anything like that on film, one? And two, have you ever seen anything like that, and have you been able to debunk it?
I have not, but I'm completely intrigued right now. Was it dark when they took these photos?
Yes. Dark.
What flash used?
Dark, but it was used with a strobe flash.
Okay. And it's red?
It's red. It is as red as you can imagine. It's like a cherry red.
Is this just one location this is happening at?
It was taken. One of the ones I saw was taken at Waverly Hills in Kentucky. The other one was taken, I want to say it was in upstate New York at Rolling Hills.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. First of all, Waverly bucket list, number one.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm intrigued. I would love to see these photos, especially if there's color to it.
Yeah, it was a bright red.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you could email me those would be that would be
I
amazing.
love her answer. Huh.
Yeah, it's intriguing because you look at it and you go, first thing that comes to mind when you see that color red, you go, Photoshop? That's the first thing that comes to mind. But
yeah,
but it's coming out of the wall, and especially the one from Waverly. It's coming out of the wall. It's got a tail like a comet, and then it's this. It almost looks like a comet. It's the head of the comet is an orb, but it looks like it's coming around the corner with this tail, and you go. It makes you kind of rethink orbs, but this thing is going fast. It looks like it's tailing around the corner.
What floor were they on at Waverly? Any idea?
I'm trying to remember if it was 2 or 4. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to look it up again.
Because I went to a group investigation there. We've already discussed. I'm not a fan, but Waverly's Waverly. So if I could get in, I'm going to get in. On the 4th floor, I'm walking with my son, and you know the little open area that didn't have any windows in it where they would wheel the patients out to.
Right.
Just walking along there, and I saw 2 orangish. They weren't orbs. It was almost like when you'd see the stormtroopers shoot their laser guns, like long little laser lights.
Yeah.
2 of them went past me.
Yeah, and this almost looks like that effect, but if you put a little orb at the front of it, That's exactly what it would have looked like.
Maybe I just missed.
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I'm so excited right now.
Well, there is. I don't. When I talk about my hatred of orbs, it's more of the stationary white, puffy, fluffy orbs that just obviously look like dust or something else. And I some people will swear up and down, but this one's moving and it's an erratic pattern. Well, so is wind. And if you've ever seen dust patterns blow, I always tell people, watch around your house when you see a shaft of light coming and you'll see the dust particles. Wave your hand across the room and watch for a while. And then all of a sudden you'll see them swirl. And it may take a minute to get to that. But you can upset that area and all of a sudden it'll look like, ooh, it's making all kinds of really weird turns and twists. So I'm very skeptical of a lot of that, but I have seen some of the colorized orb. I don't know, light anomaly, I guess maybe is the best way to say it.
Yeah.
I'm more intrigued by the ones I see with my naked eye.
Right.
Or my well-dressed eye, whichever one. But I just, I don't know. Yeah, I've seen stuff. It's like my son was asking me this weekend. He goes, Dad, do you believe in fairies? And I said, I don't know. I believe that there are a lot of people who believe in it. And he said, have you ever seen one? And then I laughed. I said, I think so. I took a photograph outside the Sorrel Weed House a number of years ago. I took a series of 3 pictures. It only appears in one. And when you've seen it, Tim, when you blow it up, it looks like the FTD florist man.
Yeah.
You see this little white running man.
What?
Yeah, it's bonkers. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
I need to see this photo, too.
Yeah, it's going to cost you $4.99.
That's just for the first minute.
You a photo op.
Yeah. No, okay.
You want to photo op with Norman Reedus? I'm your girl.
I've already got those. Norman and I go way back. Yeah. I don't know. That was one I'd never seen before. And I don't know how to explain it. Is it a fairy?
That's like these lights I saw in Waverly.
Yeah. Now the sparkles, have you ever seen those? I call them the Tinkerbell fart. Have you ever seen like the sparkles that'll burst out in raw air?
I've not. I've only seen something like that on IR, which I assume is dust, but I don't know. Yeah.
I've seen the sparkles. I've seen some of the other weird anomalies. That's the aspect of this I dig so much, right? Is you just never know. And you go in and I want to be pushed and I want to push, to see what it is I can experience. So I'm always down for that. I just think it's a really neat part of our life is in experiencing these things and what the possibilities mean. If that makes sense.
I'm dying to go Bigfoot hunting at some point. How cool would that be?
Yeah, I've considered that, and then I think, it's so outdoors.
Well, there's that. Bigfoot could really kill you. So
yeah, outdoors is just icky and full of dirty icky.
I agree.
So I prefer to stick with I prefer to just stick with indoorsy stuff and activities. You never get bit by a rattlesnake while you're investigating, paranormal houses and haunted cars. But that's the rest of the stuff that get me unnerved. All right, let's go back in Oddity Files. How many episodes are there total?
Oh my gosh, there's like 20 episodes up right now. We have some exclusive YouTube episodes, which includes that Black Moon Manor episode back when I had no clue what I was doing. And if you want to find us on YouTube, you just search for Oddity Files Crew, and everything's on there. I've got some at-home spirit box sessions on the YouTube page as well, where I realized for the first time, it's happened twice now, but that an entity had followed me home from an investigation, the same investigation with the cat that didn't really kiss me. But the gentleman there kept coming across saying his first and last name on one of the apps I use with the Wonderbox sometimes. Mm-hmm. Never heard those two names come across together before. I'm kind of iffy on the apps with the Wonderbox. Spirit Box, I'm down. Apps, not sure. But yeah, things like that. And on our Facebook page, if I'm bored at home and hubby's off riding his motorcycle, I'll do a Wonderbox session live on our Facebook page too. So there's a lot of odds and ends of us out there. I'm actually right now working on one of our first oddisodes, which will be an investigation we did where, let's say, we didn't bring enough cameras, so it's not perfect enough for an episode, or we didn't have the drone footage we wanted or anything like that. We investigated about 10 minutes away from my house at a place called Step Cemetery, where Clayton and I saw everything. Again, wasn't on video, so it didn't happen, but it was creepy. So definitely check out our YouTube page. It's got all kinds of stuff on there, or they can just go to oddityfiles.com as well.
Yeah, and we'll have links up to that as well, so people can keep in touch and hear it and find it for themselves. Let's talk about a couple more of your favorite locations and places you've had some really interesting phenomena take place. Where do you want to take us next?
Next would be a Jailhouse Pizza. We were just there a couple weeks ago. It was Clayton's actually very first investigation about 5 years ago was this place. It's an old jailhouse in Bradenburg, Kentucky, that has now turned into a pizza parlor, but they do paranormal investigations at night. So pizza, some paranormal, it's all the P's. And the first time we were there, it was a little creepy. It was right after that really bad experience I had at the Crown Point jailhouse. So I walked in the door of this jail thinking, they were going to be just as mean to me as they were at the first one, and swore a little bit and said, look, I'm in control here. You're not. So this is how it's going to run. Surprise, I didn't have any activity happen to me that night, but Clayton did. So we went back and, let me preface this by, ever since for 5 years now, that spirit box that Clayton had used at his very first location, it said his name 3 times there. Clayton's not something that's, really easy to catch on a spirit box. And it has been saying it ever since at locations he's not at. So we thought maybe there was a spirit attached to our spirit box that loved Clayton. So it was his homecoming. It was time for him to have it out with the spirit, leave him behind. But this time, I don't know, things were different. We brought a Ouija board, and the name Walter had come over, and we figured out it was a little boy named Walter who didn't want to be there anymore because his dad was there, and his dad was abusive in life, so apparently he's abusive in death. I haven't watched all the footage yet, so I don't have the full details of Clayton's experience there. Anywho, that's another one of my favorite locations. I love the stories these places tell me.
Is there a place that the history is just so dark you've decided you want to just avoid it like the plague, or are you intrigued on putting yourself even in those positions?
Yes, absolutely. I want to be there right now.
Yeah. What places do you have on your bucket list like that?
I don't know of any that scare me enough, but tell me a place. I want to be there. Waverly, I don't think it's dark there. That is number one on my bucket list right now. I want to get back to that hospital where we got that first EVP before. There was something really dark there. I'm not sure what it was, but now it's owned by the U.S. military, so they're not into ghosts or anything there. But I don't know. I want to go to anywhere that's dark. Take me to Bobby Mackey's. That's supposed to be the darkest place, right? Have you been?
I've been. It didn't rock my world. I didn't feel it was. I mean, it definitely had some weird activity, but I just didn't feel like it was this dark pit to hell like everybody else was discussing. But again,
it's a mean ghost.
Yeah, I'm just some. I don't even know that. Just some weird stuff. But nothing that dark. Rolling Hills Asylum in East Bethany, New York, is pretty crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's been
I'm
one.
supposed to head out to Pennhurst soon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've heard great things about that.
Yeah, Pennhurst is pretty neat.
Where's Rolling Hills?
Rolling Hills is in
I want to go there
right
now.
outside of Buffalo, New York, East Bethany, New York, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. And
nice.
Yeah. So there's a lot of cool places out there. I don't know. Has there been a place that's really disappointed you? You hear the hype, you go in, and it, pardon the pun, was dead?
Yeah. Actually, one of the jails we went to here in Indiana, it was Hartford City Jail, because I was like, all about these jails with the adrenaline rush and people wanting to hurt me and this, that, and the other, and nothing really happened. But you know what? Sometimes is it the location? Is it the time of year you're there? Is it the fact that it was investigated 2 nights before and the spirits are tired? I don't know. These are things I want to know.
Do spirits get tired?
I don't, but they need energy. So, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
The theory.
Possibilities.
Yeah. I don't know. These are things I want to find out. I want a ghost to walk up to me, sit down in the chair in front of me, and I just want to have a good, long conversation. One of these days it's going to happen, and it's going to be amazing. I'm going to write a book.
Well, yeah, please, and make sure you visit with us. In parting, before we head off, what episodes, what are some of your highlight episodes you think people should check out for the series?
Definitely check out the Revenant Acres one. That spirit box session was insane. Our brand new episode that we released last weekend is the Culbertson Mansion episode, and we were the first people to actually get in there and investigate it. And I pretty much had a conversation with a 15-year-old girl all night long in every way, shape, and form, via spirit box, via dowsing rods, via flashlight. And she would only answer me with I know people, I don't know. Flashlights, I don't know. But sometimes they're just on, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be real. Anywho, she would only answer me while I was talking to her over the walkie-talkie, which was weird. So we're like, well, maybe the walkie-talkie is like their spirit box for us. Maybe she hears us better. So I would ask her questions, and Clayton would hold down the walkie-talkie on his end, and I would ask her questions, and only after I would ask her questions would static come over the walkie-talkie. What is that?
Well, that is bizarre.
Right?
Like it was trying to push its way through, right?
Yeah. And I listened to it really loud in the headphones, and it's just static right now. But is this another way to communicate with the spirits? I don't know.
But have you tried different variations of that now to see if you can still get those kind of responses when you're using the walkie-talkies?
Not yet. We've only done one other investigation since that one, but we're doing one on Tuesday, and we're definitely going to try it there.
Very cool.
So I'll keep you posted.
Yeah, please do. Let us know, and send me some of your audio. I'd love to share it with our listeners too, so they can find it and get a chance to hear some of the stuff you've got going. So we have links up to your website and Facebook profiles so that people can keep up with you guys and know what's going on. We wish you a lot of luck and success. Thank you so much for joining me and spending some time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was a good time.
Very cool. Thank you. Have a great rest of your night. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got more of the best in paranormal talk radio coming your way. The aristocratic poltergeist case, a very rare case. We'll talk with Dr. Barry Taff about that tomorrow on Beyond the Darkness.